Welcome back to Agent Academy. This mission is about integrating with the Model Context Protocol, or in short, MCP. My name is Laskewitz, and I am a cloud advocate at Microsoft. In this mission, you will learn about the Model Context Protocol, or in short, MCP. MCP is a protocol that helps us to connect AI with your backend system. There are a lot of MCP servers already available inside of Copilot Studio. Let's go into the details now. Before we begin this mission, I want to quickly highlight one additional prerequisite. To complete this lab successfully, Frontier needs to be enabled in your tenant, and that requires global admin access. If you don't have that, you can ask your administrator to enable it for you. And if you can do that, then you can skip this lab or just watch the demo later to see what it does. Today in Mission 10, we'll quickly level set on the Model Context Protocol and why it matters. Then we'll see how agents connect to MCP servers and how to use MCP tools inside of Copilot Studio agents. We'll finish with a short demo. MCP gives us one standard way to connect agents to many systems. You don't have to have custom connectors per API anymore. The agent speaks MCP once and systems can plug in behind it. And this is where agents get really powerful. They fetch live data and invoke tools while responding as part of the conversation. It's not just an API call. Agents send structured requests, get structured results, and keep reasoning. And extensibility is built in. To add capabilities, we plug in a new MCP server. No agent rewrite needed. At this point, our agents mostly lived inside of Copilot Studio with built-in capabilities. With MCP, we can now connect an agent to external systems in a standardized way. An MCP server represents a system that exposes tools or data. We attach that server to the agent, and Agent 365 acts as the control plane, handling identity, access, and lifecycle. Once connected, the agent can discover what the server offers without hard-coding APIs or building one-off connections per system. And this is the key shift. Instead of writing every system directly in the agent, we plug in MCP servers and let the agent work against a consistent protocol. Once an MCP server is connected, it exposes tools to the agent. Think of tools as well-defined actions the agent can call, like reading data or performing an operation. The important part is that the agent decides when to use a tool. It reasons over the user request, selects the right MCP tool, and invokes it at runtime. The tool returns structured results, not just text. That output flows straight back into the agent's reasoning loop, allowing it to continue the conversation with fresh context. This is how agents move from answering questions to taking real actions. But I've talked enough about it already. Let's get into the demo. Okay, here we are on my demo environment, and I'm going to show you a couple of things. First thing, I'm going to show you how to enable Frontier. So when you are in the Microsoft 365 Admin Center, you can click on Copilot and then on Settings, and then you will land on this page. At the bottom, you can see Copilot Frontier. When you click on that, it will open up the way to open up Frontier features for your whole organization or a part of it. So in this tenant, I have set it to all users. So everybody in this tenant can use Frontier features, but you can also set it to specific users. If you have a big tenant with a lot of people and you want only a couple of people to have it or only yourself, be sure to select specific users and then save that. That will enable the Frontier features that we're going to use in this mission. So let's go to the next part, and that's the interview agent. You already created that in earlier missions, and now we're gonna add stuff to that. So let me click on Tools, and here we can add our tools. For MCP servers, it's exactly the same as a normal tool that you can add. You can see here that we have all kinds of filters, so we can select prompts, flows, etc. We can also click on Model Context Protocol. And when you select that, it will filter down all the tools to only the ones that have Model Context Protocol. When I scroll down, I can see that we have a whole lot of different MCP servers available. So what you can do now is you can just select one of those MCP servers and you can add that to your agent. In this case, we're going to use the Microsoft 365 user profile MCP server. So I'm going to select that one. And when I select it, I have to create a connection first. So I'm going to click on not connected and then create a new connection. Then I'm going to click create. It will open a new window for me where I need to authenticate to the right account. And when I do that, it creates the connection and I can select add and configure to add this MCP server to my agent. So I clicked on add and configure. So it now adds it to the agent and it's already added now. And when I scroll down here, I can see a lot of things about this user profile MCP server. I can see all the tools that we have available in this MCP server. It's really cool because we can, for instance, also limit the tools that we can use in this MCP server. So it might be that you have an MCP server that reads a lot of data, but also writes data. You might want to, in certain use cases, you might want to disable writing to data, for instance. And then you can disable that in this way. But in this case, we're just going to leave it to allow all in this case. And this is basically how you can edit that. For now, we're going to start a new session, a new test session. And what I'm going to do here is I'm going to ask a question. I'm going to ask, who is my manager? And as you can see in the tools, we have a tool here called Get Manager Details, so it should be able to figure that out. When I hit send, it will send it the prompt to the agent, and right away we get a consent window where we have to consent that the MCP servers will use the user profile MCP server in this agent. So I can click allow, and that will allow the agent to actually work with that server. And here we go. It's already going through it. And as you can see here, it already found my manager, and the manager is indeed April. What's really cool about this is that you can see on the left side which tool it actually triggered. You can see the inputs. So here it says that it selects the display name, mail, and job title. So you can even ask for more different fields that you want to see of your manager, for instance. In this case, it's just using the default, which is these three. For the user ID, it's using me. So it already knows that I'm connecting to the agent. So it will just use my own user for that. And you can see here that there's a lot of text that comes back from the MCP server. And it looks a little bit less user-friendly, let's say it like that, the output that you get from the MCP server. But the agent is completely good enough to make this a nice message, as you can see here on the right side. So this is basically the first part of the mission, that you're going to create the user profile MCP server inside of the agent. Now we're going to add another one. We're going to add another tool. I'm going to click on Model Context Protocol again, and I'm going to scroll down, and we are going to add the Microsoft Outlook Calendar MCP. I'm going to click on that one, and it already has a connection because we already added the connection for the earlier MCP server, and it's already in there. So I can click add and configure, and this will add the MCP server to this agent. And here we go. It's already added the MCP server to the agent. You can scroll down again to the tools to see which tools are available in this MCP server. We can see that it's a lot more than what we had in the user profile one. We can, for instance, find meeting times, accept events, tentatively accept an event, decline, cancel, forward. There's a lot of possibilities here. You can also list a calendar view, which is really interesting when you are working with, for instance, meetings. And that's what we're going to do as well as a test. So I'm going to add a new session here. I'm going to ask another question, which is get my upcoming meetings. And I'm going to send this to the agent. It will ask me again to allow the MCP server. In this case, you can see it's about the Microsoft Outlook calendar MCP and not the user profile MCP server, because this is the MCP server that we added just now. If I didn't allow the other MCP server before, it would show them both here. When I click on allow, it should start sending the prompt to the agent again, and it should go through with the Outlook calendar MCP. Here we go. It's going through all of it. And go. And here we can see that the upcoming meetings for Daniel Laskewitz are a bunch of meetings that I have here now. So that's what it can do. It just gives all the upcoming meetings, for instance. There is a little trick as well that I need to show you, because when you switch back to overview, I added something to my instructions, and that is here down in the instructions. So you can click on edit, for instance, go down, and I added today's date is, and I used PowerFX for the today function. That means that it will at runtime use the today function for my user, and it will then add that into the instructions. And how you can do that, you can just add a slash and then say PowerFX, and then you can use today, for instance, there, and add that, insert that in there. So it's pretty easy to add that to your instructions if you see that an agent is not performing very well. And with that, we are at the end of mission 10. The next mission is about collecting feedback from users. See you there.